Hey guys, welcome to Red 50. We are at the Shenandoah National Park, and last time I was here and brought my car, the car was bone stock. All I had was the Corsa Extreme, and now we've got some suspension mods. We've got lowering springs. We're lowered on Steeda Progressive. We've got a 285 3519 square setup with the Michelin Pilot Sport All Season 4 tire. So I'm really curious to see what difference all of these mods have made in terms of how the car handles. And I have obviously driven on the street, so I can already give my first impressions. You guys probably have seen the videos, but I'm really curious, like when you put it on a back road or the mountain road passes, how does the Mustang really handle with, just a minor mods, just the tire setup and just the lowering springs. And of course I do have the tune since I last brought the car in. I do have a Lund 93 tune, but obviously that in itself, like I'm not going to push the car too much to really tell the difference in terms of on the back roads. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get started with the video. We're going to go ahead and try to push the car a little bit, but at the same time it is public road, so I don't want to be pushing the car way too much or beyond my capability. It did rain last night here, so it's a little bit wet, but not not really wet where I would consider it to be dangerous. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna put the car into manual mode and try to take these curves and just really understand what differences all of the mods have done in terms of the getting the Michelin Pilot Sport All Season 4 tires and mainly the Steeda lowering springs. So my impression basically on the street was when I got the lowering springs, that was before I got the tires. So I got the lowering springs on the stock Pirellis, and I could immediately tell the difference because the center of gravity was much lower, so I felt the car was a little bit more nimble. It was, you point into a direction, it's going to turn. And when I got the tires, not only did it help with traction, obviously, because the stock Pirellis were pretty much junk, but it also helped with basically how the car is, I can push the car, I can feel like sticking a little bit more than what the stock Pirellis would do. Of course, this is not a Pilot Sport 4S or any of the stickier tires, so still a very street setup. So let's go ahead and get into the video. We're gonna go ahead and just kind of talking about my impression and how the car feels and how the car rides as we're kind of driving around these beautiful Shenandoah Park. I do have to say that last time I was here was almost 2 to 3 years ago when the car was pretty much new. So I'm going to try to recall back from my memory, but really just make a comparison as much as I can. So with that being said, let's just get into the video. And right off the bat, I can just tell just the few passes I just did, the car feels very nimble. I think the tires themselves probably are going to help if I really push the car, which you'll see in this video. I'll push a little bit, but of course I am nowhere near a skilled driver or have some track experience, so I'm going to exercise with caution over here. But I have to say, having the lowered center of gravity with the Steeda springs, it really makes the car very fun to drive. I wouldn't say it's as light as some of the lighter weight cars. You still feel the weight, it's still there. It is a front heavy, big, massive V8, but just makes the turns so much more fun. Like I see this turn up coming right now, and as I'm kind of downshifting and getting into it, the car handles without a problem. There are like few turns where it gets very like sketchy in terms of if I had the stock Pirellis, but these tires are definitely helping. So of course, if you're a skilled driver, you're really trying to push the setup, you're gonna get a much responsive steering response basically from your Mustang. But just going at it, I think my biggest thing that I can recall from the last time I drove these roads on a stock suspension, and by no means the stock suspension is bad on the Mustang GT to begin with. I don't have the performance packs. If you do have that, you might benefit from a better handling car. But my stock car was good, but it was kind of floaty. You could tell there was a good bit of body roll if you were really trying to push the car. But now with the lowering setups, these are the Steeda Progressive 1-inch lowered setup. It drops about an inch in the back and maybe an inch, 1.1 inch at the front. The car looks absolutely amazing in terms of the way it sits, but honestly, it handles much better too. I can just tell pushing the car right now, the car is feeling a lot more planted. Of course, some of it has to do with the tires, but the springs really make me feel like, I'm staying low to the ground, and it just kind of like wherever I pointed, the car wants to go there. That's one of the things, like when I got the lowering springs, I'll be honest, just like with pretty much all the Mustang owners are all car owners. I got them for the looks. I wanted, you know, the car that was gonna look low, but also not too low, kind of like the iBox Sport lines, which were like an inch and a half drop. This is my daily driver, so I still drive it to work and everything. So I didn't want it to be like too low where it's gonna be an issue in terms of well, we got this car in front of us. Let's see if he's gonna let us pass. Okay, there we go. I don't want him to scare. I don't want him to get scared, but okay, all right. So, but yeah, so just getting these lowering springs have really helped out in terms of the center of gravity just being lower, and handling, you know, just made it drive a lot more fun. If I went iBox Sportline, it would be even lower and maybe a little bit better handling, but as a daily driver, that's probably not the route I would recommend you go with. With the Steeda springs, I think it has just made the car a lot more fun to drive, and again, I went ahead with just trying to look nice with the car and just get a better stance, but obviously the handling has improved, and I'm not saying that just because I am on these back roads right now and I'm having the time of my life, because for most of us, even my daily commute, it doesn't involve roads like that. So if you're curious, like, you know, does it make, you know, any difference aside from just the looks of the car? I think it does. Like, it's made the car a lot more tossable and, you know, nimble, even when you're just driving normally on normal roads. And you don't have to, obviously, if you are on roads like that, if you've got some mountain passes like near where you live, it's going to be amazing. But I drive normal roads, and I could still tell a difference. Of course, when you bring the car here, it's just an absolute fun to drive this car. Now, I know I've been commenting on the springs a lot because I think that's what I'm noticing the most. Again, I'm not a pro driver, so I feel like that's what I'm noticing the most, the lower center of gravity and just more nimbleness. Of course, if you're pushing your car a lot more, or if you're autocrossing or tracking it, then you may benefit from the tires as well. These, like right now, I'm running all season Pilot Sport tires, but if you get the PS4S, which will be a huge upgrade over what you get on stock Pirellis, so those you'll be able to notice a lot more difference. But again, just driving the car, I think springs is one of those things. Like, tires will come in handy if I really push the car. I really can't do that with this Beamer, kind of just driving slowly, enjoying the drive, and kind of ruin the fun for me. But yeah, so I can't really push the car too much on a public road. But if you're on a track, or if you are autocrossing, you will definitely be able to tell the difference with the tires. I can tell a little bit improvement with the stock Pirellis, definitely, but I think what I'm really noticing most is the lowering spring, which I highly recommend, especially if you got a daily driver. If you don't have a daily driver, of course you can, you know, slam the car, go coilovers or whatever. But if you got a daily driver, you want the stance, you want improved handling, and be able to daily drive this car, I think the Steeda springs are the one to get. I think all in all, the mods I've done, of course, they've been, I don't got struts or anything else basically, or anything suspension wise going on just yet, but I have to say, coming from a base Mustang suspension to the lowering springs and improved tires, it has made the Mustang a lot more fun to drive than you can imagine. So springs are about $200-300 depending on which ones you get. If you get the Steeda one, they're about $300, but I highly recommend it because it's going to make your Mustang that much more fun to drive. Now, if you already have a performance pack Mustang, then I don't know how big of a difference it's going to make in terms of improved handling, but of course you will benefit from the improved stance and just making your Mustang look a lot better. Now, I hope to do a lot more suspension mods, so I do want to revisit this mountain path and just see how much improvement each one of them kind of really make. I think it would be interesting to kind of try it out. But yeah, so I think if you had to pick one, I would probably go with the springs, but I highly recommend you do both the tire upgrade and the lowering spring upgrade. It's going to make your Mustang really fun to drive, even if you don't live on roads like that. Even if you're driving regularly, it's going to improve traction for straight line performance, but also just make the car a lot more nimble while you're driving it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video in terms of what the suspension mods I've done have impacted on the, you know, the handling of my Mustang, and I think I am beyond impressed with what it has done. If you do push it 24/7, then of course you can do a lot more suspension mods. It's gonna feel a lot better than what I currently have, which is, I guess I want to say 90% of the setup that Mustang buyers will run. They'll upgrade the tires and they will get some lowering spring and call it a day. Well, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you smash that like button, comment below what is your current Mustang setup, and of course subscribe to Red 50 for more videos.